Let's see what Stella Tstantekidou thinks of this, who is a former Labour advisor. Stella, thanks for joining me. I bet you think Angela Rayner did fantastically well last night and won the debate, don't you?
I thought she did really well. It was a very difficult debate for her. She had to defend some unpopular policies, but that's what you have to do when you are in government as the Labour Party.
Such as what, Stella? So what do you mean unpopular policies? You think there's some unpopular policies in the manifesto? Like what?
It's really difficult to tell people that it's not going to be all rainbows and candy, and we're not
It's
going
definitely
to.
not going to be that. But no
Yes,
matter who's
yeah,
elected, it's definitely not going to be that.
yeah, exactly. So if you look at the Labour Manifesto compared to previous Labour manifestos, it's a very strict, a very cautious manifesto for sure, for certain.
Well, it looks like a Conservative manifesto, doesn't it? I mean, wealth growth, not increasing taxes, although we'll come back to that in a second, not lifting the cap on two-child benefit. I mean, it's basically a Conservative manifesto, isn't it?
Not a conservative manifesto. I would say it is a small c conservative in that it is very, very cautious because the Labour Party has recognized that, look, we had a very difficult past few years. The country is looking for stability and security. Businesses are looking for stability and security. And really, that's what people are looking for. People are not looking for a Labour Party that's going to tell them, oh, don't you worry about it. We are going to raise all of the goodies that you are expecting from a Labour government. No, we're not going to be able to achieve that because the money is simply not there. So to do all of the things that a Labour government is going to do, you need growth, you need wealth creation, as Keir Starmer said. But I don't think it is a conservative manifesto because I do think that it's only the Labour Party who would be able to do things like reform the NHS, take energy back.
Like they have in Wales, Stella.
Sorry?
Like they have in Wales.
Well, the Welsh government is not going to be the Westminster
Well,
government.
no, but the Westminster government is a Labour government, and
What do you expect from the Welsh government to do
they've handled the NHS appallingly in Wales.
Under the austerity measures that have been handed over by the Westminster, by the Conservative
What,
government?
14 years ago, Stella? Come on, you can't
Years.
use that argument anymore.
Absolutely not.
You can't use that
Absolutely.
argument anymore. 14 years. So the Labour government have been in power in Wales, and the waiting lists are 40% longer in Wales than in England.
It is the conservative austerity that has caused it the way that it has. What about the waiting list in England, by the way?
Oh yeah, no, it's all terrible. But what we're looking for is not. We don't want to look back, Stella. What we are as voters, we want to look forward. And genuinely, so look, I want to believe politicians, and my point here is we want authenticity. I don't want to hear from Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner what they want me to hear. What I want is for them to be authentic and to have integrity. And the problem is that not only have we had Labour governments of the past that some of us remember in terms of always leaving unemployment higher, crashing economies as they did in 2008-9 and so on, but we've had the likes of Angela Rayner and Keir Starmer talking very, very seriously and with passion about how, for instance, they want to ban private schools. They want to see tax
They don't
higher.
want to ban private schools.
Angela Rayner did, and Angela Rayner, for instance, wants to. She
I'm
voted against the
sorry.
nuclear deterrent.
Russell, 10 years from now, if I become politician and you come back to me and you tell me, Stella, I looked through your Twitter account and I found when you were a political commentator that you sent this, that, and the other, then I would frankly be quite angry at you because
Why? Because shouldn't we maintain our ideology? Shouldn't,
politician, Russell.
Stella, we should maintain our ideology. You
A
don't flip flop and
mature
change.
politician looks at the voter and reflects back what the voter needs and what the voter wants.
No, because the
He's
problem
not a
is,
mature
Stella,
politician.
do you know what happens, right?
Not,
What
no,
happens is
because if you
politicians, hang on, politicians tend to
sorry,
say what we want them
can
to
I
say.
finish, Russell? Will you let me finish,
We want
please?
integrity,
Will you
is
let
my
me
point.
finish? Will you let me finish, please?
Of course. Feel free.
How do you expect to have a government that does not represent the majority of the voters? A mature government is a government that represents the majority of the voters, not one that has.
Stella, you've made that point, right? But no, that's not the point. The point
So
is,
you can
I
have a
want. No, hang
personal
on.
position. You can
Stella,
let me
Stella,
finish, Russell.
my
You can have
turn.
a
No.
personal
Hang on.
When
You
you are
coming on
against
is not
that-
15 minutes of the Stella show. Look, I need to be able to challenge, and I need to be able to ask you other questions. You've answered that question in terms of you believing that the Labour Party have now aligned themselves with what the electorate want. That's fine. I get that. But what I'm saying is, are the Labour Party, is Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner just saying what we want to hear, only then to U-turn, which actually Captain Flip-Flop, as many call Keir Starmer, is rather likely to do because he's got form. We don't want to vote for something that then evaporates in terms of that ideology, where then Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner just go back to form, which is being socialists.
But you just also said that the Labour Manifesto is actually, your words were that, oh, it's such a conservative manifesto. Well, I'm telling you right now, the Labour Party manifesto, it's only promising things that they are certain that the Labour government can deliver, and it's fully costed. Isn't that what you want?
No, but no, because Stella, you're missing the point on
if they
purpose,
get
I think.
elected, they will be getting elected.
Manifestos, Stella, manifestos mean squat, right? So how much of the Conservative Party manifesto has been enacted since 2019? Nothing.
Exactly.
Keir Starmer has already, during this campaign, U-turned, for instance, on spending £28 billion of taxpayers' money on net zero. So what I'm saying is, and I think you do get the point, is that it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what's written in the manifesto, which frankly is not legally binding, although I think it should be. I do think it should be. The Labour Party may well get into Downing Street and then U-turn, renege on everything they've said, but then they're in power for 5 years.
But you can
That's
say that
the
about
charge.
any politician. You can say that about any politician. You can say that about
It doesn't
any
make it
politician.
okay.
Are you, no, but so you. I really do not understand this debate right now.
No, what I'm
Russell.
saying, can a leopard change its spots? I don't think it can. I think Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner are socialists.
Okay, yes, they are socialists, but your idea of socialism is very clearly something completely fringe, and you are just manipulating
Well,
the
as
word.
Margaret Thatcher said, it's the
Let
customers.
me say, Nigel Farage is a fascist. Would you accept?
It's the customers spending other people's money until it runs out. That's
No, it
socialism.
is what it is. But you are saying that, and at the same time you're saying, oh, but this manifesto says that they are not going to raise the taxes. So would you be happy? Would you be happy if the Labour manifesto was saying, oh, we're going to raise all of the taxes?
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'd be happy. So let me give you.
They don't raise the taxes. What are you going to do,
Stella,
Russell?
let me give you an example. Let me give you an
Are you going
example.
to call me a month from now and apologize?
Well, it won't be a month, will it? Because I think it might be a month before Labour let us down. Who knows?
Are not raised. The three taxes that Labour has committed that they are not going to raise. If they don't raise them, are you going to come back?
But Stella, this is where you're being disingenuous. So what the Labour Party have said, the same as the Conservative Party actually, is that they will not raise the rate of VAT, income tax or national insurance. The word that's operative there is the word rate. It doesn't mean they're not going to change thresholds, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to raise tax on, for instance, capital gains tax, which pretty much they've said they will, corporation tax, which again, by way of ambiguity, in the manifesto,
I'm actually very relaxed about them raising capital gains.
But it's
I
disingenuous.
don't know that they are. I don't work for the Labour Party
Stella,
right now.
my point is, as you well know,
I'm quite relaxed about them doing it. And you know something? As you've said, the Conservative Party has raised taxes 26 times. All the while, because they know they're going to lose the elections, they have created this massive
I don't care about the Conservative Party for the purposes of this discussion, Stella. What I'm talking about is, can we believe Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner when they put things in their manifesto that are very, very carefully worded? They give the impression that tax to working people will not be increased. But they're not saying, hang on, Stella, one sec, no, my turn now, hang on, one sec. They're not saying that they won't increase capital gains tax on someone that owns a second home that wants to sell it and maybe makes £20,000. They're going to have to pay tax on it. They're not saying they won't increase inheritance tax. The other very interesting thing from a business perspective, now Keir Starmer is saying that he is the party of business and growth. He's announced that he will not move corporation tax from 25%. Now, what he doesn't say is that any business that makes between 50 and 250,000 profit a year only pays 19%. So what I glean from that very carefully worded prophecy, that pledge, is that actually he's probably going to increase corporation tax on smaller companies that make between 50 and 250,000 pounds from 19% to 25%. Do you see the problem I have with the ambiguity,
but
the
the
fibs?
from that is that this is a very realistic manifesto and everything in it is completely costed. And for that reason, the only thing that you can do is try to imagine what else is going to happen. There are other ways that they could find, that they could, to begin with, they haven't even said that they're going to spend more money. They literally have never said anything that is not costed. So I do not know what this debate is about, because this is not a debate about the actual
It's about integrity, Stella. It's about the integrity of who is about to be the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister. Can we believe what they say?
Well, if you cannot believe, then too bad for you. Don't vote for the Labour Party. But you know what? The vast majority
I'm undecided. But look, I think actually it may well be, according to the polls, a fait accompli, but that's not the point. What I'm searching for is not politicians to align themselves with popularity. I want politicians that actually believe what they say. Therefore, by way of ideology, they're probably more likely to carry through their promises because they actually believe in them, rather than it being something from a poll or from the media or from Twitter that is populist. Do you see the difference?
you are saying that, but literally, very clearly, if there was any policy in there whatsoever about raising taxes, then you would be attacking it with the full might of your
Well,
of
why
your
not? Because
own ideology.
of the transparency that goes with
And
that.
my
But
question to you is this. My question to you is this. How exactly would you deal with the government that the Labour Party is going to inherit? And do you believe that growth is possible in this country? And if you
do
believe
you know
that
what I
growth
do, Stella?
in this country, if you believe that growth is possible in this country, then tell me, why are you not looking at all of the measures that the Labour Party is putting in place
So,
about planning, about infrastructure, about energy, about reforming the NHS,
what
about having a stable economy when people can actually
Stella,
invest?
let's not confuse words and headlines with what Angela Rayner calls a strategy. Just saying we have an industrial strategy, or we have a workers' strategy, or we have a housing strategy. Just saying the word strategy doesn't mean you have a strategy. Right? I'm not seeing any detail, not seeing any tangible
Sorry,
deliverables within what Labour are
is it
saying at
not
all. They're
detailed
just
enough?
words, they're just headlines.
Is it not detailed enough for you to say that we're going to reform the grey zones, we are going to build on the green zones, we're going to force local councils, we'll have a zero tolerance to NIMBYism, zero tolerance to councils constantly, to local councils constantly vetoing on new house building and infrastructure plans? Is this not enough of a plan for you? Is this not enough
No,
strong?
that's not a plan, because guess what? Governments don't build houses. Builders do. Governments
Yes.
don't build
And
houses. So until you get round the problem of the
And why
stranglehold on
have they not
property
been building up until
supply,
now? Because they have not had a government that has been helping them to build. Because they've had a government which at every turn was afraid of their constituency MP saying, "Oh my God, my constituents are going to vote against me." And guess what? This is not going to happen with
do
the
you think
Labour
Labour
Party.
politicians are any different when it comes to
Yes, I
defending
do
against
actually. I do
NIMBYs?
think, yes, I think it's a different demographic. And I also do think that because they're going to have such a strong government, they're going to be able to pull through massive, massive planning changes that the country has been crying for the last 15 years.
Well, look,
And this is why
let's.
the UK is in such bad standards compared to any other country globally.
Yeah,
It is insane that in this
housing, Stella.
they're
Housing is a
capable of
subject.
building.
Stella, housing is a subject very, very close to my heart, and I genuinely and desperately want to believe the Labour Party that they will build 1.5 million houses in this Parliament. I also want to believe that they will start work on the new towns that Angela Rayner announced a few weeks ago. Although she did say that she would get to work and actually have shovels in the ground within 12 months, which frankly I can tell you as a property person is unfeasible. I mean, that simply won't happen. And the Green Belt, for what it's worth, do you know what? I totally and utterly agree with the Labour Party on their Green Belt policy, which is that a zoning of land that hasn't been altered or changed since the 1940s needs to be relooked at. And of course, if there are parts of the Green Belt that aren't green, shock horror, sorry Middle England, you're not going to like this very much, but we should build on them. So if it's a scrap yard or a skip yard or an industrial estate or so on, so are we actually agreeing for the first time in this 15-minute conversation? We are, aren't we? Yeah. Good. So look, let's hope. Look, I genuinely hope that they do build the amount of houses that Angela Rayner is stating they will build, 1.5 million. But I have to say to you, by way of a counter, in the last 30 or 40 years, do you know the lowest amount of homes built in Britain was under a Labour government? John Healey was the housing minister at the time.
Cool. Okay, and that Labour government also did a host of other things. What were the
Well,
waiting
crashed
lists
the economy in
under
2009.
Tony Blair and Gordon Brown? I'm sorry, do you remember what the crime rates were like, what the waiting lists were like? And now we're talking.
Do you really want to talk about crime when you've got a Labour London mayor in power? Do you really want to talk about crime and the Labour record?
Because knife crime actually is down in London.
No, it's not. Don't be silly. Stella,
Which
what
is the
crime is down?
government
Jaywalking?
that has cut our police to the bone.
Do you know why crime's down? Because no one ever bloody reports it anymore, because the police are non-existent. So believe me, when it comes to knife crime and assaults against the person, crime is up.
Existent. I will tell you why the police is not existent. Because this Tory government has put so many casts on the police.
There's more police on the streets now than ever.
Police officers because they
Stella, there's more police on the streets now than ever before.
Absolutely not. And how much are you saying that? And how much has our population grown since whenever you're looking at?
Well, now that gets us nicely onto immigration, doesn't it? That gets us nicely onto immigration and how, of course, Labour are going to smash the gangs, and that overnight is somehow going to change our fortunes with regard to immigration. Let's talk about that for a second. How are we going to have jurisdiction over gangs in Turkey and Albania? and smash them, as Keir Starmer's saying, how is that going to instantly reduce the 50 or 60,000 illegal people that come over on small boats every year? How's that going to happen?
You should look at what, my motherland, Greece, is doing, for example. A right-wing government, mind you, an anti-immigration right-wing government. And Mitsotakis, the Greek prime minister, has been saying about Rishi Sunak. The thing that Rishi Sunak is doing wrong, someone who, by the way, is not as right-wing as him, is...
Rishi Sunak's not right-wing, you're kidding.
No, but Mitsotakis, the Greek prime minister, is more right-wing. Is what I'm saying.
Well, anyone's more right-wing. I think Keir Starmer's more right-wing than Rishi Sunak.
More right-wing. And what he has been saying, the thing that the UK is doing wrong, and everyone else will agree who knows what is actually going on the ground, is they do not have a good relationship with the partners. There needs to be a refugee center in France where the people's applications are checked and they are dealt with there, because what you have now is you don't have a legal route, so they keep on bringing everyone here in the UK.
There are legal routes. They're called airports, Stella.
They keep on. No, this is not.
They're called airports. So you can jump on a Ryanair flight from anywhere in the world, or EasyJet, or Wizz Air. You can land at an airport with your passport and claim asylum. There are legal routes.
You need the refugee processing center so that you don't have the situation where you have now, where they bring everyone here in the UK and they keep everyone in these centers, and they refuse to go through the application. This is a government decision.
Stella, are you suggesting internment camps? Because I think I might agree with you. Are you suggesting that we put illegal immigrants in internment camps?
In internment camps, well, a refugee processing center. I don't know if it's the same thing. We need refugee processing centers.
Well, it's probably not the same thing. But if you're suggesting that we put refugees into camps like they do in France, I'm not sure many of your Labour-leaning colleagues would agree with you on that.
No, I think we need to. So what I'm saying is we need to have a refugee processing camp where the asylum applications are actually processed. Because what you have right now is you have a government that has taken.
But there's loads of them: Gatwick, Southend, Stansted, Heathrow, Birmingham, Manchester.
Okay, so why is the backlog? Do you know why the backlog is there? Why
yes, I think I do, because the Home Office and the civil service related to the Home Office are purposely digging their heels in and behaving badly in order to crash government policy.
That is the government. That is the government, though. No, it's the government.
No, the civil service and the government, are not the same thing, Stella.
It is a conscious government decision. It is not the civil service. It is a conscious government decision. You are telling me that if the Conservative government wants to go through these asylum processes quickly there, they wouldn't be able to do it. They definitely couldn't.
No, what I'm saying is that no matter what the government says, if a renegade, rebellious, left-leaning civil service wants to cause trouble for the government, they'll only process one asylum seeker per week each, which is exactly what's happening.
No, that is where you're wrong. The reason why the Rishi Sunak is the Conservative government has been doing this is because they want to be able to blame it all on the civil service. It suits them to be able.
Right. So So they think we should be overrun with immigrants just so that we can blame the civil service. We could always just fire them, Stella. I would just fire 100,000 of them on Monday. That's what I'd do.
I will put it to you another way. Rishi Sunak was looking for something to blame about the problems and about his complete incapacity to deal with the asylum situation. And then he said, the problem is, okay, we're going to say that we're going to stop the boat, which to begin with was a very bad strategy on his hand, because why would you commit to something that you're not yet sure you can actually do? You are not yet sure that you have the means to stop it, right? It's a very difficult problem. I'm not going to say it's such a simple problem, but there are other countries that have done it a better way. And now he's turning around and saying, right, we haven't been able to do it. Who are we going to blame this on? It's the civil service, it's the human rights courts, or whatever.
Well, we could talk about this all day, Stella, couldn't we? The ECHR, we haven't even mentioned the ECHR and how we should immediately leave it, in my opinion. Stella, you're brilliant, as always. I didn't expect to agree with you, but it's been fun and heated, and hopefully the audience have enjoyed it. That was Stella Tstantekidou, who, she definitely believes in what she says, doesn't she? Even though most of you may well disagree with her. But this is about balance.